GamingBolt presents 15 things you need to know before you buy The Evil Within 2. 2 years after The Evil Within's launch, Tango Gameworks is coming back with the much anticipated sequel, and things are definitely looking good. Announced at E3 earlier this year, we've seen and heard plenty of the upcoming survival horror game, and what we've seen has us super optimistic. If the first game was a diamond in the rough, its sequel looks like the perfect evolution. In this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 things that have us excited about The Evil Within 2, and are sure to get you pumped as well. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Psychological horror. It looks like The Evil Within 2 is going to be much more than your typical survival horror game. You know, the kind that tries to frighten you by mostly using jump scares. The Evil Within 2, however, won't be going down that road, at least not completely. Apparently, it's going to be a mix of regular in-your-face horror moments and some good old psychological horror. The developer has confirmed that as opposed to the original game, there are going to be fewer jump scares this time around, but they'll still be there to some degree. A redemption story. The Evil Within 2 will see players in Sebastian's shoes again, but he'll apparently be a much more relatable character this time around. Things definitely aren't going well for him after the events of the first game, which was bad enough for him personally as it was. But developers Tango Gameworks say they've focused more on this character's progression this time around, focusing on making The Evil Within 2 a redemption story for Sebastian. Japanese horror influences. There's a lot to be said about the kind of horror that Japanese video games promulgate, and very little of it is bad. Franchises like Silent Hill and Resident Evil put the survival horror genre on the map years ago with their unique style. And as per Tango Gameworks, the upcoming Evil Within 2 takes a lot of cues from Japanese-influenced horror. The narrative setting. The Evil Within 2 is a much more personal story for Sebastian than its predecessor was, and the narrative setting is the foundation of that structure. The game begins as Sebastian finds out his daughter, who is believed to be dead, is actually still alive but has been captured by Mobius to be used as a test subject. The game is essentially a race against the clock for Sebastian to find and rescue his daughter. Side objectives. The Evil Within 2, however, won't be a solely linear experience. Though the storyline surrounding Mobius and Sebastian's daughter will be the main driving force, there will also be plenty of time for players to seek out and indulge in side quests and other activities. These will, of course, result in rewards for the players such as rare loot or vital resources, which are going to be very important for progression, as you might imagine. Greater player freedom. The Evil Within 2 seeks to expand on the strengths of the original game. One of the ways that it'll do so, apparently, will be allowing for greater freedom for the players. It's going to have much larger maps with layered and branching pathways, allowing players to progress in more ways than just one. The game, through its layout, customization, and crafting options, will offer greater freedom to players to tailor the experience more to their own liking. Customization. In The Evil Within 2, players will use different resources for customizing not just their weapons, but also Sebastian himself, tailoring him and his abilities to craft a playstyle just for themselves, further reinforcing the focus on player freedom. For instance, green gel will be used for upgrading the protagonist, while weapon parts will customize the weapons. Sebastian's stats can be divided into health, combat, stealth, recovery, and athleticism, and it's mostly through this that The Evil Within 2 allows you to create your own playstyle. Crafting. Crafting is a vital component of most survival horror games, and it's going to be no different with The Evil Within 2. There will indeed be a crafting system in place where, as you can imagine, you'll scavenge resources from the environment and use them to make equipment and ammunition. Crafting can be done anywhere and at any time. However, doing so on a workbench will always require fewer resources, so always be on the lookout for one. The stealth combat balance. While The Evil Within 2 will obviously give players the ability to use their wits and their weapons to kill any enemies they encounter, you'll also have the option to do it in a much more delicate and stealthier fashion. Considering the fact that ammo and resource preservation is going to be an important part of the gameplay, we expect players to rely on stealth quite a bit. So here's hoping that developers Tango Gameworks build up that part of the game as well. The Communicator. Sebastian will have one big and important new tool in the form of a device known as the Communicator. The Communicator will have several uses, one of which will be to allow players to get around the game's map with greater ease. In addition to that, during gameplay, the Communicator will also show you where you can find resonance points. These will lead you to resources, weapons, and ammo that you're going to need in order to survive. You will also get some side missions through this device. Shifting realities. Shifting realities was an important part of the first game, not just in terms of gameplay, but also in terms of the narrative and the overall atmosphere. This is once again going to be a vital feature in The Evil Within 2. However, the shifts are going to be much more logical this time around. The developers have confirmed that the shifts will not be as jarring as they were in the previous game, and that there will be a sense of logic to how and where they shift. Improved visuals. The Evil Within was a pretty good looking game back in 2014, and its sequel's gonna try and up the ante. The Evil Within 2 looks absolutely gorgeous with clean, sharp visuals and beautiful imagery from everything we've seen so far. But it should be noted that all of this is still being done on the same engine as the previous game. Just like its predecessor, The Evil Within 2 runs on id Tech 5. Characters and bosses. The Evil Within 2 is going to feature at least one familiar face, other than Sebastian of course. Julie Kidman, his former partner from the first game, is going to play a vital role in this story. Though there haven't been any announcements for any other returning characters yet, we do expect to see at least one or two more familiar faces in the game this time around. Meanwhile, though there are no actual details on this yet, it has been confirmed that the game will also include several new bosses and enemy types. Tried and tested. The Evil Within 2 is expanding on many aspects of its predecessor and looking to improve in several ways, but it's not going to try and reinvent the wheel. It looks like gameplay and the overall tone will be largely similar to what we've already seen in the first game, while even things like the controls haven't really been changed much. Sure, it's bigger and better, at least from the looks of it, and there's a lot of new stuff here, but it looks like it's mostly following in the footsteps of the first game, and that's not a bad thing at all, to be honest. Mikami is not the director. Shinji Mikami is basically the father of the survival horror genre in this industry, having made countless landmark titles. He was also the director of The Evil Within, but he won't be returning for the sequel. While Shinji Mikami will still be part of the development process and serve as one of the lead producers of the game, The Evil Within 2 will instead be directed by John Johannes, who directed the first game's story DLC packs.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.